Welcome into your tiny reading for this week. I am T from Tiny Divinations, coming in to break down the cards with you. So, as usual, we have our three different piles. Pick the pile or piles that you are drawn to, and I will see you in your reading. Welcome in pile one. Let's get into your cards. So, the first card that you have is Shift. This is actually your wisdom for this week. So, we'll get back to that. Let's get into the energy of your week. So the cards that we have are the Devil and the Four of Sacred Circles. I'm using the Ancestral Path Tarot cards. The energy that these two cards give me together feel like we're thinking about the things that have been holding us back. It feels like you're thinking about the things that have been um, blocking you from elevating, that have been sitting on you, that you've been wanting to get rid of, the things that have kind of been weighing on you, that you've been wanting to change, or you've been thinking about, or that have been coming up. And it feels like some of these things lend to like more spiritual energy. And the Four of Sacred Circles, especially reversed, makes me feel like part of the energy of this week has to do with us sitting with and contemplating the things that have been holding us back and blocking us from sitting in our purpose, or blocking us from elevating in certain ways. It feels like these things have been weighing on us or holding us down, or they're specifically things that have been holding us back from something specific, and that a lot of these feelings and these emotions and things are kind of coming up this week. For some people, this could look like things, places, spaces, people you've held on to for longer than you should have. Things that, like I said, have been weighing on you for a while, that you need to change, that you need to fix, that you need to kind of like unbind yourself from. And for other people, this could also be with like how you allow other people to dictate your life, or to dictate the things that you do, or how you allow their opinions to dictate your movements, thoughts, actions, feelings about yourself. For some people, you're thinking about like this kind of funk energy that you may have been in, or that's been like clouding your thoughts, or clouding your judgment, or clouding your motivations, or something like that. And again, the idea or the feeling to me is that we want to get from up under this. We want to get this off of us. Whatever this thing is, this feeling is, these thoughts are, the actual tangible situation, person, whatever it is. So that's what I'm getting from these two cards. Let's pull some more cards and see what else we get in terms of the energy for this week. Using the Ancestral Path Tarot to get a little bit more about the energy of this week. Okay. We have the Eight of Sacred Circles, the Three of Swords, the Seven of Cups, and then the Queen of Cups. Okay, so with these cards, it definitely feels like there's a lot of reflection, right? Part of why these things may come up that we talked about in the Devil and the Four of Sacred Circles is because you're doing a lot of reflecting this week. It also feels like a relatively emotional week for you with the Seven of Cups and the Queen of Cups, partially because you're reflecting, partially because it feels like you're just kind of taking stock of things and like where you are and what's going on. You're reflecting a lot on like who you are and what you've done, and what how you've shown up for people and how others have shown up for you. And this is, coming up in the emotions that you're feeling and the ways in which you want to move differently going forward, or the way in which you want to set boundaries going forward, or, um, basically just it feels like having yourself um, move move in a different energy, in a different space. Like you're like, the same shit is not going to happen going forward, but you understand the emotional release and the depths that you have to go through to kind of see what's actually going on, to be able to fix it, or to change it, or to release it, or to work on it in some way. This Eight of Sacred Circles feels like working, right? So like we're working on these emotional things that are coming up, these, um, feelings, thoughts, emotions, like I said, about ourselves, about others, in terms of the things that are holding us back from, gaining higher purpose or sitting in our our truest selves, or gaining real alignment. Okay, that's some of what comes up. um the other things in terms of the energy, it feels um like I said, it feels very reflective. Like it feels like people are looking back or thinking back or looking over things, And depending on when you're watching this, as of when I'm recording this towards the end of 2025. So that may be why there's this very reflective energy um, that people are feeling and going through. But it also feels like we're ready to move forward in like a very different way. And this card sometimes can be seen as like selfish, or like, cuz he's leaving these people and they're hurt, but he's clearly very content with what he's doing. And it just feels like that's the energy. Like the energy going forward is about you being content. It's about you feeling, courageous and strong, and like yourself and sitting in your full self. And so these are the things that we are like reflecting on and going through this week to kind of get to this space. And it doesn't feel like a bad thing to me. So these are the cards I'm getting for the energy of your week, pile one. Let's move into some specific things that may happen this week. Okay, so getting into some specific things that may happen this week. Let's start with possibilities. Follow your dreams, make up your mind, believe in yourself. Antisocial, wishful thinking. In your feelings, silent treatment, left out. Wishful thinking, second chance, deja vu, nostalgia. So this is a lot of what I have already talked about. Coming out, the emotions we're going through this week, the things that we're reviewing, how we want to kind of move going forward, the possibilities of what that looks like, sitting in our shit, you know what I mean? The deja vu and the nostalgia, like I said, thinking back. In some cases, you may be wanting a second chance, and that's, you're going to move differently going forward or something like that. Sipping, okay. Rumors, gossip, nosy. So you may receive some tea this week, okay. That's interesting. What else we got? Anything else from this deck? Oh, clingy. Old exes, dead relationships, old ways. Okay. So we talked about how we're getting rid of the old ways, but we may have people from the past definitely come up this week. And the card that's on the bottom is toxic. So they may not be people you necessarily want to talk to, or they may not be people who have changed the way they have said that they have. We then have blocked, right? So maybe keep them at arm's length. Okay, moved on. Nothing to say. Stop calling. Right. Okay. Let's move to the Power of Surrender card to see if there's anything else specific we got going on. Okay. Surrender your fear of change. Surrender the drama. Surrender to the magic of who you are. Surrender to your full power. Okay, I'm going to start here since this is the first card we got. Surrender your fear of change. The universe is reminding you that you are cared for always. Whether you're afraid of a change in job, your health, or a relationship, and we talked about the changes you're trying to make, or if you fear aging or death, repeat this affirmation, or the affirmation: I have faith that all is well. You then got surrender the drama. No matter how emotionally charged the situation, remain calm and don't contribute to the drama. Staying centered, will help resolve the issue more quickly. You then had surrender to the magic of who you are. We all have magic in us. even in the mundane aspects of life. Remember that you are a magical being with a uniqueness and worth that come from just being you. And then the last card you have is surrender to your full power. Your life is calling for you to step into your full power rather than playing it small. Okay. So, other things that may specifically happen this week, again, it's going to call you to stand in your full power. You are going to have to think about change or changing yourself, it seems like, or changing some of your habits if they are surrounding, like more toxic, dramatic, things. Um, Surrendering your fear of change in these specific ways it may be that they talked about: health, relationship, jobs, um, things that we talked about before. And then again, just surrendering to the magic of who you are and really sitting in your shit, like I said. Okay. So we're going to end your reading by getting into your wisdom for this week. Okay. And the card we have for your words of wisdom is the Shift. This comes from the Earthcraft Oracle. And I'm going to read directly from the book. Like the changing of the seasons, transitioning from who you are to who you're becoming is a gradual process. The shift arrives when you feel suspended in time or as if at a crossroads. You're ready to move towards something bigger, but there are many paths you can take, so much potential. It's hard to take the first step. Be still in this transition and take this opportunity to look before you leap. Now is your chance to gain additional clarity before making decisions. Review all options thoroughly and check in with your beliefs, values, and goals. Call on your guides. Being still may bring up feelings of anxiousness and vulnerability. So have compassion with yourself as you take this much needed moment of suspension. Know that this transitional phase will pass and soon a path will become clear. Okay? And then each of these cards comes with a working or a ritual, so I'll let you pause to read or screenshot, the ritual. Okay, pile one. That is your reading for this week. Thank you so much for reading with me. I appreciate y'all so much. Please like and share and comment. Let me know how this week is for you. Let me know what you think of this reading. If you'd like your own reading, book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. Subscribe to Substack so you can get our monthly collective readings. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not already. Subscribe and follow me, I should say, on TikTok and Instagram at Tiny Divinations. And again, thank you so much for reading with me today. I appreciate y'all so much. I hope you got some insight and some clarity and some information for this week. I hope y'all utilize this. If you have another pile, I will see you there. If not, I will see you in your next reading. Welcome in pile two. Let's get into your card. So the card that you chose is Birch. This is actually your wisdom for this week, so we'll get back into that later. Let's get into your energy for this week. So the first card you have is the Three of Sacred Circles. And then the next card you have is the Ten of Sacred Circles. And I'm using the Ancestral Path Tarot deck. Okay, so the energy of your week this week with these cards to me feels like nesting. It feels like resting. It feels like kind of isolation and separation while at the same time either dealing with or thinking about or dealing with things that deal with your family, your ancestors, your bloodline, um, your chosen family. It feels like these are overarching things. Even though you're kind of in like a separate space, it's kind of in the background. You can see in this card, you still have the community huts in the background. You're one of many, right? And then in this card you have this wider shot view of the whole community. So I feel like the energy of your week, while it is separate, while it is about you kind of recharging yourself and getting yourself back, it still has aspects of being with or dealing with your family, thinking about your family, your culture, your traditions, where you come from, your extended family, like I said, your chosen family. This is like some of the energy that comes up. It also makes me think about like the bigger picture in terms of your space, or where you fit in, or where you feel comfortable, or where you literally will be, for some people, in terms of what you're thinking about or considering right now, or maybe in the process of, actually moving on it, you know what I mean, in terms of moving or changing locations, or changing up your space, or recognizing the spaces that you feel comfortable and where you may not actually feel as comfortable. So this is some of the energy that comes up for me in these cards. It's like I said, it's giving nesting and resting and being in with myself and my thoughts, and kind of like regenerating and recharging myself. And at the same time, there are aspects of the larger community that also come into play this week. So let's pull some more cards from the Ancestral Path Tarot and see what other energies are at play this week. We are using the What's the Vibe cards to see what specifically pile 2 has going on this week. Okay, starting with karmics, third parties, haters, lessons learned. Nothing else from this side. Running, escape, denial, excuses. Established, settled, secure, wealthy. Okay. Okay, so in terms of the karmics card, we have third parties, haters, lessons learned. So you may have some random haters come up this week, right? I feel like for me, it has more to do with the lessons learned and the third parties. The third parties being more related to the family aspect that we were talking about, the bloodline ancestral aspects that we were talking about, the extended family, the chosen family. I think that would be more of who the third party would be talking about. And in general, I think it's like thinking of overall relationships, or thinking about dynamics, or thinking about, things at play, especially if it's like ancestral. It's like, our ancestral wealth, or our, things that have happened in our bloodline that we need to fix to get to a certain place, or to get to a place of healing, or something like that. And then we have the lessons learned, because like I said, I feel like you, in this place of isolation and review, start to consider and think about the things that you have learned, to be able to put them into place, to be able to evaluate yourself, and know what to do going forward, to be able to get to this established place that we also talked about before, right? I think part of why this may come up is like, it feels like people are like looking around and looking at what other people have, or like you didn't consider a certain lifestyle or a certain thing or something like that, or that you wanted something like that, but it's almost like you've lifted your head up at this point, and you kind of looked around and realized like, no, either I am getting paid too little, or I do want more, or I want more stability, or a bigger foundation, or something like that. So I feel like that's how that comes in. Then you have the running, and I don't necessarily feel like you're running like we talked about before, but if you are some people that are isolating because there are things that you don't want to deal with, like these lessons, or there are people that you're avoiding because of karmics, and things that you don't want to face or deal with, you won't be able to get to the settled, secure place that you actually want to get to until you are able to release these things and these energies, right? For some people, it feels, if you are doing this, it feels like you can't move forward because people are like throwing energy at you, and the purpose is not for you to like throw some shit at them. It's for you to like mend the shit, because what they're throwing isn't necessarily like actual magic works. Sometimes you can throw shit at people because you just feel away, you have negative intentions or energy, you know what I mean, or negative thoughts and feelings about them, and so that may be a way. So it feels like you can't escape what's happened. You can't, you have to sit with what's happened, and you have to make amends if there are situations where you need to make amends, whether that's with yourself or with other people, so that you can get to this place of security and wealth that you want to get to. I'm going to pull some more cards from the Power of Surrender. Just see if there's anything. Oh, random. What's the vibe card in there? See. Okay. If there's anything else for your week. Surrender to receiving support and love. Allow the support and love of others in, rather than trying to handle everything yourself. This can take the pressure off and simultaneously nurture you. And we also had for our, energy cards, you had the isolation, but also the family within that. So, oh, I love this. We got this in pile one. Last card you have is surrender to the magic of who you are. We all have magic in us, even in the mundane aspects of life. Remember that you are a magical being with a uniqueness and worth that comes from just being you. Okay, love it. All right, let's end your reading with your wisdom for this week. Okay, the words of wisdom you have for this week are birch. It comes from the Earthcraft Oracle, and I'm going to read the message directly from the book. Birch trees are old, sacred woods that are believed to heal emotional wounds, ward off negative influences, and banish fears. They're also associated with new beginnings, making them the perfect energy to channel for healing old wounds and welcoming new connections. Birch may come to a reading when you are feeling vulnerable, afraid, and unsupported. You may be feeling the need to hide away from the world to lick your wounds. If you have experienced trauma or hardship lately, know that extra support is being provided for you and that you are protected while you take this time to heal. The worst has passed, and soon you will be able to pick up any broken pieces and put yourself together again, only stronger and more beautiful. Additionally, Birch comes to you as a gentle reminder to build better boundaries, but not by closing your heart. Traumatic events harden our spirit, leaving you jaded and spiteful. Do not let your circumstances prevent you from connecting to others or from taking calculated risks. You may have some deep wounds and brutal bruises, but those will heal in time, and you will be stronger for it. Give yourself space to process, heal, and let go, knowing it will be safe to open your heart again. And then each of these cards comes with its own ritual or working, and so you can pause to read that. Okay, pile two. Those were your words of wisdom for this week. And this is your reading for this week. Thank you so much for reading with me. If you'd like your own personal reading, book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Substack so you can get our monthly collective reading, or on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. Um, Follow on TikTok and Instagram at Tiny Divinations. And thank you again for reading with me. I appreciate you so much. Please let me know how this week is for you. Comment, like, share. And if you have another pile, I will see you there. If not, I will see you in your next reading. Well, welcome in pile three. Let's get into your cards. So the card you chose was plant seeds. This is actually your words of wisdom. So we'll get back to this card. Let's get into your energy for this week. So the card you have is the 10 of Cups reverse, the Sun reverse, and the Star card. So the energy of these three cards to me kind of feels like you kind of lost hope, or you're losing hope, or you're losing your confidence. You may be thinking about starting over, or you may be questioning what you're doing. You may be wanting to like redo things, or you're rethinking where you are or where you're at or something like that. But it feels very like a doubtful energy. It feels self-conscious. It feels um unconfident, and then with the energy of the Star card, it feels like there are some people that feel like there's this need to like strip everything back, or take everything, like to the roots of it, and for some people you may not feel like that, but that's what needs to happen. Like, there's a certain energy of needing to have more faith in yourself and faith in your situation, that not that things will work out if you feel like they're already doomed or they're not working out, but that things will work out in general, you know what I mean, not with something specific but in general. But there's also this need to kind of strip things back and get back to like why you started something to begin with, or what was your ultimate goal, or why you're here, or why you went to this place, or why you're with them, or whatever the situation is. There's also with this energy of like who you are and what you have in terms of skills, or like what you bring, and like getting to the root of these things, getting to what spirit said to me was getting to the bone of these things when I first pulled this card. um or getting down to the bone, excuse me. And there's this energy that like this kind of what do they call that? Something of consciousness. Um like crisis of consciousness, I think is what I just heard in my head. This kind of crisis of consciousness calls you to kind of pull back and strip down and like get to the nitty gritty of what you want to do, or why you're doing things, or what you're doing there, some kind of that energy. But like that feels like part of the energy that comes up this week. There's this energy of needing to like rebalance and have more faith in yourself, as well as um getting refocused on things. So this is what I'm getting from these three cards. Let's transition. Actually, this is what I'm getting. Let me do this again. This is what I'm getting from these three cards. Let me pull some more cards and see what else we get. Okay, so using the Ancestral Path Tarot to see what other energies we are dealing with this week for pile 3. Okay. So we have the Ace of Sacred Circles, the Hierophant reverse, the Nine of Cups reverse, and then the Two of Swords. With the Ace of Sacred Circles and the Hierophant, it feels like people are thinking about starting things, or looking forward to starting things, or wanting to do more, but it feels like you don't feel like you have the skills, or you're unsure of yourself, or you're not sure if you have enough knowledge, or you know enough, or in some cases you feel like you don't have the help and support that you need. So that's part of what's coming up. This Ace of Sacred Circles also makes me think of like over obsessing about things, or like constantly having these thoughts on your mind, whether it's about like what you're going to do next, or what you have, or what you want to do, or expanding in some way, but not feeling, like I said, like you have the resources, or the help, or the knowledge, or the skills enough to do it. So that's part of the energy that it feels like comes up this week. The Hierophant alone in some cases makes me think that some people are having trouble with getting more information about something that you want to do this week, or you may have trouble with getting more information. Some people with the Hierophant may be leaning too much on a mentor, or someone's help, and you need to have more confidence in yourself, and what you want to do, or what you're doing. It also feels like in some cases that there are people that want to do more, but you're not confident in yourself, or not confident in something, and there's a way that you feel like you should be further, or you should do more in terms of the Nine of Cups, and you have a decision to make, or you have you're like at a crossroads. It feels like there are people with these cards specifically that feel like they're at a stalemate. Like you don't feel like you're at a place to be able to celebrate certain aspects of your life, or to celebrate in the way that you want to. It feels like there are people that the energy, like I said, it feels like there are people that are um, lacking in terms of the help, or the resources, or people that are not able to find the help or the resources, or adversely people who are leaning too much on someone else's skills and not enough on your own. Okay, so this is some of the energy that comes up as well. You have the Nine of Cups, which may be people literally partying too much, drinking too much, doing too much, not paying attention to your responsibilities, not sitting with the shit that you need to sit with, kind of thing. Um, then you have the Two of Swords, which to me is like either we go this way and we do this, or we go that way and we do that, right? So that may be literal having to make choices this week, or very like cutting decisions or very decisive decisions this week, and or it may be the need to contemplate like where we're going in general, like where this road leads ahead and what that looks like. It feels like that energy kind of went throughout the other piles as well. So if you were drawn to any of the other piles in the reading this week, definitely go back and watch one of the other piles, whichever one you're drawn to, all of them if you're drawn, if you were drawn to all of them in a different way, because I feel like you'll definitely pick up more information about this, and that will resonate with what this is already discussing. Also, if you're gonna go out this week, pay attention to your surroundings, pay attention to your energy. If you're not feeling it, then don't. If the energy in the place turns, then leave. You know what I mean? I'm not getting anything like specific that may happen to people, but it just feels like there may be like some bullshit happening, especially in spaces outside, where people are drinking or partying or like doing too much. This also may be family gatherings where shit could turn left. You know what I mean? And so just be mindful of that. And if shit starts getting to that point, then just separate yourself. You don't even have to have it escalate to a different place. That's a random aside. So this is the energy that I get for this week, pile three. Let's move into some specific things that may happen. Okay, we're using our What's the Vibe cards to see any specifics about what may be happening this week. We have family, love affair, glow up, and then burn bridges. Okay. So family, blood ties, inner circle, love affair, dirty little secret, sex fix, down low. Then we have glow up, new opportunities, new career, successful business, and then burn bridges, lack of trust, disloyal, turned back on. Okay. So in terms of specific things that may happen this week with this deck, we have the family that comes up. I just talked a little bit about that. We then have love affair that comes up. So you may be dealing with your family and some aspects of the things that we talked about. There may be a situation with a love affair where you have to make a decision or a choice, especially if this is a situation that is a secret. We have the dirty little secret and the down low. So, like, it's giving that, like, either people may not approve of this, or you may not have told other people, or you are in a situation yourself and you need to decide if you need to, if you're going to stay with the person that you're with, or you're going to leave and be with the person that, you with, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a thing that may come up this week. The love affair also, like aside from all of these necessarily negative things, I zoomed in on the ring and it made me think of like people may be getting engaged this week, or you may be going to a wedding, or people may be thinking about proposing or getting married or getting engaged or something like that. You then have glow up, new opportunities, new career, successful business. So, like I said before, I think part of what may come up is like you thinking about where we're going, what the road looks like, where we're taking this, in terms of new opportunities, a new career, a successful business, being a successful business person, having a successful job and business, feeling comfortable, like just glowing up, going forward. You then have burned bridges. So there may be a situation where I said before, where you have to make decisions about somebody, and or you have a situation where you have to set in your boundaries and, like I said before, make decisive decisions. So it may be a situation where somebody had you feel a lack of trust, or you felt like they turned their back on you, and you now have to decide how you move forward with them. And it may be somebody that's family, it may be somebody that you've dated, but or you're dating. So these are some of the things that come up specifically. Let's see what, and then as soon as I split the deck, I get the boundaries card. Disrespectful, enough is enough, defend yourself. So, again, because of the burned bridges, because of the issues we may have with family or love affair, we definitely are going to have to set boundaries this week. We're going to have to um, let people know what we want or respect what others are saying that they want, um, in whatever form that comes in. We then also have cutting ties and karmics. Third parties, haters, lessons learned, cutting ties, freedom, standing up, awaken. Okay, so we may have situations this week where we get into it with people and we decide to leave, or we set our boundaries in and people don't respect them and we have to cut ties with them, or vice versa. People may cut ties with us. You know what I mean? It may be about this a secret secret squirrel relationship where you finally figure out either you don't want to be with the person that you're with, okay, and so you're choosing freedom, or standing up, or that you realize that you want to be with that person and you now awaken and you cut ties with this other person. Since we definitely have this third parties card with this love affair where we had this, so I definitely feel like some people are in situations where you are dealing with multiple people, and it may not be a cheating situation, but you're dealing with multiple people. You were figuring out what you want, and now it's time to really like set that shit in motion, or let people know where you're at with it, so that you're not fucking with other people's feelings. um and then it's funny, the card on the bottom, we have nightlife reverse, which reminds me of the Nine of Cups reverse. So there's something about, being mindful when if you're going out, or this says strip tease, gambling, Vegas. So like if you're gambling, if you're going out, if you're drinking, if you're drugging, if like whatever you're doing that is nightlife revolving, you know what I mean? um, don't do it to excess. Don't get out of control. Watch your surroundings, watch your drinks, pay attention to the people that you're with. Don't go out with people that you don't fucking trust. Don't go out places where you don't know where you are, where you don't have the goddamn address, where you're not sure of the area. You know what I mean? Like, pay attention to shit like this, because both of these cards coming up is not for no reason. Okay, I'm gonna transition into the Power of Surrender cards to see if there's anything else we have specifically for this week. Okay. We have surrender denial. Accept people and situations exactly as they are without denying the difficulties. Then you can see things clearly and make the best decisions. And again, we have decisions coming up again, and seeing people and situations for what they are so that you can possibly cut ties or set boundaries, or, make the best decisions. Okay. And then we have surrender stubbornness. If you're tensing up or taking a rigid stance about something, gently observe yourself and become more yielding. This will help you communicate more lovingly with yourself and with others. Okay. So, those are the last two cards we have for what specifically may happen this week. We are going to move on and end your reading with your wisdom for this week. Okay, the card we have for your words of wisdom is plant seeds. And for this week's words of wisdom, I am going to read directly out of the book. We're using the Earthcraft Oracle. Seeds are delicate and fragile, yet each one carries the intelligence of an entire plant within it. Seeds are delicate and fragile. Let me do this. Yeah. Seeds are delicate and fragile, yet each one carries the intelligence of an entire plant within it. Every tiny seed contains roots, leaves, flowers, stems, and everything that makes that plant beautiful and unique. Seeds of intention are much the same as the little packets of magic, and they must be nurtured and protected until they are strong enough to flourish all on their own. You have pulled the plant seeds card because there are nascent ideas forming in your spirit now, or there will be soon. Whether you've been envisioning yourself as the head of a thriving business, planning to start your family, or innovating ways to bring healthy food to your community, you have been trusted by the universe to bring this intention to life. Everything you need to grow your dreams lives within that seed. Your seed calls out to you, holding within it the potential to take root and fulfill your life's purpose. But what you do with it is up to you. Trust that this goal is yours for the taking. Be careful with your intentions at this time, for they are not ready to be shared. So, for now, set your intentions and commit to their care by acknowledging that you are the right person to bring this gift into the world. Then you have a ritual that goes with every card in this book, so you can pause to read that. And this was your wisdom for this week. So that was also your reading as a whole, pile three. Thank you so much for reading with me. Please let me know how your week is. Let me know how this reading was. Share this reading. Follow the YouTube if you're not already following me. If you'd like your own reading, book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. If you aren't already following the channel, like I said, follow on YouTube, follow on Substack or Apple Podcasts or Spotify to get our monthly collective reading, Tiny Musings. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Tiny Divinations. And if you have another pile, I will see you there. If not, thank you so much again for reading with me. I appreciate you so much. Please share and let me know how this reading was for you. And I will see you in your next reading.